Alright, Steelers fans and NFL junkies, buckle up, because what I'm about to tell you might just change the way you look at this entire offseason. We've got brand new details coming out about how a 4-time NFL MVP, one of the most polarizing and accomplished quarterbacks of our generation, ended up landing in Pittsburgh. And no, this wasn't some panic move or last-minute desperation deal. This was calculated. This was patient. This was straight up chess while everyone else was playing checkers. So here's the real story, the inside scoop that's now coming to light thanks to a deep dive report from Sports Illustrated. It wasn't just about the Steelers needing a new quarterback. It was about them believing Aaron Rodgers could be the guy to elevate their quarterback room and lead them into the future. Yes, even at age 41. It all started as the Steelers were wrapping up their internal evaluations at the end of last season. Russell Wilson was on his way out. That much was obvious. The experiment had failed, and Pittsburgh was ready to move on. They liked Justin Fields. They genuinely wanted to keep working with him. But here's the thing, only if he was willing to accept a backup-level deal. The idea was simple. They'd bring in another veteran quarterback to compete with Fields for the starting job. It wouldn't be handed to him. He wasn't their franchise guy yet. They didn't see enough from him to believe he was that dude. So they gave him a choice. Take a team-friendly offer, compete, and maybe earn the spot. But of course, when the Jets came along waving $20 million and a guaranteed starting role, that was it. No way Fields was saying no to that. And let's be real, if Pittsburgh wasn't willing to pay that kind of money, it tells you everything you need to know about how they really felt about him. They didn't believe in him as the long-term answer, plain and simple. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, the Steelers were already moving. They touched base with the Rams about Matthew Stafford, kicked the tires a bit, but it quickly became clear Stafford wasn't leaving Los Angeles. He wasn't interested. That door closed, and Pittsburgh quietly shifted its focus right to Aaron Rodgers. And here's where things get really interesting. This wasn't just some wild idea they had one night. They studied Rodgers. They did their homework. They went deep into the film, looked at the numbers, and came away impressed. Way more impressed than even they expected. Sure, 2024 wasn't a perfect season for Rodgers. He was coming off a torn Achilles, dealt with a nagging hamstring injury, and played on a team that was a complete mess. No run game, chaotic coaching changes, a defense that ranked in the bottom 10 across most metrics, even though people still talk about that Jets D like it's elite. It wasn't. And yet, Rodgers still managed to put up numbers that, if you compare them to his 2022 stats in Green Bay, weren't that far off. People forget in 2022 he was playing with a broken thumb on his throwing hand after that London game against the Giants. He still almost dragged that team into the playoffs without Davante Adams. That's not nothing. So yeah, his numbers have dipped since his MVP season in 2021, but let's not act like he turned into a scrub overnight. Injuries, bad rosters, and constant instability will do that to any quarterback. But when Rodgers is healthy, and that's the key word here, healthy, he's still one of the smartest, most surgical quarterbacks in the game. The Steelers saw that. They believed that. And that's why they were willing to wait. They didn't care about the noise. They weren't sweating the rumors, the media circus, or the fan base going crazy on social media. While everyone else was freaking out, the Steelers were calm. Why? Because Rodgers was calling Mike Tomlin and offensive coordinator Arthur Smith directly. He kept checking in, kept giving them every indication that he was all in, that this was where he wanted to be. So Pittsburgh stayed patient. They knew that guy was coming, and man, did that patience pay off. When Rodgers finally signed on the dotted line, the deal looked like an absolute steal. $10 million guaranteed, $14 million total in base salary, and a chance to hit around $20 million with incentives. For a top 10 quarterback in NFL history, that's borderline robbery. It's the kind of deal that front offices dream of making, and it didn't happen by accident. It happened because the Steelers identified their guy early and played the long game. There's also another layer to this whole thing that hasn't been talked about enough. Arthur Smith's connections to Rodgers' previous coaches. Smith worked with both Matt LaFleur in Green Bay and Todd Downing in New York. Those were Rodgers' last two offensive play callers, and both of them gave glowing reviews. They told Smith exactly what he needed to hear, that Rodgers was still a football genius, that he still had it, that he could thrive in the right system. And guess what? The offense Smith is bringing to Pittsburgh has a lot of overlap with what LaFleur ran in Green Bay. It's not identical, but it leans heavily on play action, under center concepts, and timing-based throws over the middle. That kind of system Rodgers has crushed in the past. And now we're hearing that Rodgers himself is excited to work with Smith. He talked about their renewed friendship on the Pat McAfee show earlier this offseason. The respect is mutual, the scheme fits, the culture makes sense, and the trust? That's maybe the biggest piece of all this. The fact that none of this leaked out, the Steelers and Rodgers kept it all under wraps. That tells you how tight their relationship has become in such a short period of time. They're on the same page. And now, finally, the football world gets to see it unfold. Fast forward to this week, and we're getting the first images of Rodgers in a Steelers uniform, throwing to his new teammates at mandatory minicamp. And yes, for those of you wondering, he's got a brand new helmet. His old model, the Shut Air XP Pro, got banned by the league. So now he's got two choices, either the Shut F7, which is kind of rare for quarterbacks but still in use, or the Vichy 02, the same one guys like Patrick Mahomes and Russell Wilson wear. Funny enough, Rodgers actually invested in Vicious a while back and even wore one of their helmets in a commercial. But he's already said on McAfee's show that if he can still wear a Shut, he will. So that's probably what we'll see out there. But beyond the helmet and the practice photos, the real question is what happens next. The quarterback room is set. Rodgers is the guy. But the Steelers still have a few moves to make, especially a wide receiver. And no, before you ask, it's not going to involve Jair Alexander. Green Bay cut him, sure, and a bunch of fans started dreaming about a splashy addition to the secondary. But Pittsburgh's not biting. They've already got their outside corners. Darius Slay, who they signed in free agency, was promised a starting role. Joey Porter Jr. is entering his third year and still has Mike Tomlin's full support. Jair isn't signing somewhere to compete for a job. He wants a guaranteed starting spot and a hefty contract. The Steelers aren't in that market right now. What they're looking for is another weapon for Aaron Rodgers, a reliable target, a receiver who can run clean routes, has good hands, and knows how to play the game at a high level. That's where things start to get interesting again, because Green Bay might be open for business. If they were willing to let go of their number one corner, they might be willing to move a receiver too. Romeo Doubs? Maybe. He's young, has chemistry with Rodgers from their time together in 2022, and he's been frustrated with his role in Green Bay. There was even a suspension last year for skipping practice. Out of frustration, he could be gettable. And if not Doubs, maybe Dontavian Wicks, another physical receiver with great blocking skills and solid route running. There's also Carolina. Their wide receiver room is getting crowded. They've drafted a bunch of young talent, Tez McMillan, Xavier Legette, Jalen Coker, and they added Hunter Renfrow too. So now veterans like Adam Thielen and even some of those younger guys might become trade chips. Thielen is a name Pittsburgh's been linked to before. Not the fastest guy, but man, can he run routes and make tough catches. He's the kind of player Rodgers would love. Coker's got a similar style, just younger and still developing. And if the Steelers want a more physically imposing option, there's always Legette, a DK Metcalf type receiver with raw athleticism. But you want to know who I keep coming back to? Amari Cooper. Now I know what you're thinking. He's not a number one guy anymore. And that's fine, because the Steelers don't need him to be that. They need a savvy veteran, a technician, someone who can win with roots and help Rodgers. Keep the chains moving. Cooper fits that bill perfectly. Rodgers has even said before that he's a fan of Cooper's game. The fit makes too much sense. Size, style, experience, it all lines up. So that's where we stand right now. Aaron Rodgers is officially a Pittsburgh Steeler. The quarterback drama is over. The pieces are starting to fall into place. And now the focus shifts to who else they can bring in to maximize this window with one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play the game. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and hit the like button. On this video, your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Whispers are getting louder around the NFL rumor mill. And if the latest buzz is to be believed, the Steel City might be preparing for a serious offensive upgrade. Word around Pittsburgh is that Amari Cooper, the seasoned and prolific wide receiver, may be on his way to don the black and gold of the Steelers. Though nothing is official yet, speculation has exploded after reports of Cooper being spotted in the city and seen in close contact with Steelers personnel. If this move does come to fruition, it could mark a significant shift in the offensive. Dynamic for Pittsburgh. Pairing Cooper with the explosive George Pickens would give the Steelers one of the most exciting receiver duos in the AFC North, maybe even the league. Pickens, known for his big playability and raw athleticism, would finally get a veteran counterpart to draw attention away from double coverage and provide a much-needed balance to the passing attack. While the Steelers have been quietly rebuilding, their offensive identity, bringing in a polished route runner like Cooper, would speak volumes about their intentions for the upcoming season. He's the type of receiver who can elevate a young quarterback, move the chains on third downs, and open up the field with his crisp timing and football IQ. It's a potential match made in gridiron heaven. Of course, there's still plenty of uncertainty. Cooper's current contract situation, cap space logistics, and potential trade or release clauses are all pieces of a puzzle that haven't quite come together publicly. But the rumors persist, and in a city that lives and breathes football, that's more than enough to get the fan base dreaming. Could we be witnessing the birth of a lethal wideout duo in Pittsburgh? For now, it's just a rumor, but one that's spreading fast. Keep your eyes on the Steelers. Something big might be brewing. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Pittsburgh Steelers, make sure to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and give this video a like. We always look forward to hearing your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.